What is up, YouTubes? I hope everybody's well, doing well. I guess I'll have to listen to myself on my phone. I don't have my headphones in here. They went dead yesterday. I don't know why. What side of the screen is this? Whatever. I'm centered enough. It doesn't matter. I mean, are any of us centered? We're always trying to, like, it's like standing on a ball. Okay, so let's see here. It shouldn't take this long, seriously. Come on, YouTube. What is going on? There we go. I'm live. I sound fine. The mic is over here. I've got to figure out something else for the microphone, but whatever. Rotten pomegranates. Alright, so a little update. We have this working, actually. It's a friggin' miracle. So let's go to some news. Shall we go to Hacker News? We should start by doing a little intro on Hacker News. So we're going to do this Hacker News rant, mini Hacker News rant. I had a old friend tell me that they liked the Hacker News rants a while ago, and I was like, that's good to know. Game theory? That's kind of calling to me. Let's go look at it, and then we'll save it. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy this, because I've been deleting the database, and I'm going to paste it in here, just in case. So I have, these are for testing, URLs for testing. So the reason I do this a lot is just to see if it works. I mean, it seems to be working on just about everything nowadays, which is great. So we'll search for it. There it comes back. Oh, look, it's broken. What's cool, look at that. Isn't that cool? You can actually copy that, and you can paste it in here. And the reason this broke is because I did a search for it, and then it tried to put it in there. I don't know. I have to figure out, there's some, and then it updated it. So if we search again, oh, you know what? That was that kilobyte game thing. Oh, that's because I deleted, that makes sense. I actually deleted the image for it. And then, so that it has an image that has been deleted out of the spool, out of the bucket. I purged the bucket. And so, and the reason I purged the bucket was because I ended up in storage. This is Google Cloud Storage, so this is a bucket. This is like S3 on Amazon. I ended up, what's going on here? Oh, you know what? Production has not been updated yet. So that's why it's doing this. So I don't know. This thing right here, this is what I did. So the reason these spools are being created here, those are my spools, but production is creating them. This one is being created by dev, and then the spools are in there. So that this is my hash. This is my user hash here. Here's my user hash. So then that way we don't have everyone's spool in there, because every single URL will create a spool. So if somebody saves a URL, then we'll create a spool for it. And which is fine. I don't mind having, I can imagine a user would have tens of thousands of URLs maximum, probably, something like that. I mean, we're not designed to be a crawl it all shop, so users should be crawling whatever it is that they're interested in. So a human is going to be interested in tens of thousands of things. If a human has 100,000 objects in their data store, they're not going to go back and look at all that. They're just saving things, and in that case, we would charge them more or something. So we would put some upper limit on it, and so that way, at least we have. If you can imagine, these spools are not going to be here. Then we would have, and that's why that image is not coming up. I would imagine if we go over to localhost and log in on dev, that we would be able to see that image for that. In fact, let's just do that. And so maybe we'll have, if somebody wants to save hundreds of thousands of URLs, that's like a business account, and then we'll talk about that. 830-224 830224. Nobody's ever going to log in as me because I'm delayed on broadcast. So it's like the 5-second delay in case you accidentally say fuck online. Then you're like, oh, we got to beep it. Of course, we don't have to do it here because it's YouTube. We can say whatever we want. Okay, so search, and then is it title chess, I think, is what the... Yeah, there it is. Well, look at that, I'm still broken. I don't know. Let's open the image in a new tab. It's not going to come up. So it's in some spool DA1. So let's go and look and see if we have that. I mean, clearly it's not going to be here, but it might be in here. Well, there it is right there. Get off of there. Okay, so there it is. Oh, that's the image. So that says... So it's got my... So it's this plus that. So let's look at this. So this is, it says spool, and then LVO. That's LVO, EPNG, and that's spool DA1, blah de blah. So let's go look at, do we break it? We're gonna get to some news on the plugin. It's great news on the plugin, but before I do that, we're gonna fix it. We're gonna look at this and see if there's something that needs to be fixed. So make sure you like, subscribe, and all that shizzle. Comment, actually. I would really just like somebody to comment on one of the... And it's a good comment, too. I don't want anybody negative comment. If you have a negative comment, just go away. But if you have a good comment, throw it in there. Okay. So what are we looking at here? We're looking at site. The reason we're looking at site is because that's where the file name server is. So we're going to get the... So we get our user ID, and then here we're building, the bucket blob is built from this, user ID, spool name, file name. Let's look at the old code. Now I could do a diff or whatever, but I don't know. I mean, if somebody's fancy, they'd go in there and type in something. I'm lazy, so I'm just going to go do it this way. I'm looking at web site. The update was 3 days ago, so let's see here. So yeah, this says spool name, file name. I don't know, why isn't it serving it? Does it work for other stuff? Let's index something else, because if it does, then I'm just going to blow it off. It could be that like something's borked in the database or something. Look at the little floppy disk I put in there. Isn't that funny? I love that you can put stuff like that in there. Is this gonna work? I mean, I know it's indexing things because I was doing it earlier. I don't know why I'm even wondering if it's going to work. I tried it earlier before I started the stream. It worked. What is it doing? I kind of wonder if, like, I have this problem if I'm running prod and it's changing the model. Is that a thing? Like it's changing the model and I'm like working things by changing the model. I don't know. Maybe I should push to prod. Didn't seem to do anything, which is not great. I'm gonna push. Then we can talk about the plugin while I'm pushing. Hello? Okay, here we go. Deploy to AppEngine. And while I'm at it, for good measure, yes, I'd like to continue. I'm gonna check stuff in. So git status. Oh, look at all that stuff that's changed. Git add. Untracked files. We're actually going to be doing docs today, so it's a casual stream. So we'll do a little coding. I don't see anything here coming back for this sucker. So let's look for news. Is the indexer down? It's possible. Oh, well, we're down because we're pushing, so that's not going to work. So let's just close that. Just ignore all that. That's all going away. So let's see here. We've got. Oh well, can we search for a? How did we get that in there? Let's copy it. Let's copy that, and then we're going to do a search. What should we search for? Can we just search for this? Yeah, that hasn't been updated yet. It needs to scroll. I fixed that though. It's in the title, I think. Yeah. I mean, you can actually search for just a floppy icon on Mitta. So it's just like Google, except it's better. Google has everything. You don't want everything. You just want your stuff. There's no sense in having everything that Google has. But I mean, this is built on Google, so I mean, they did a good job in that regard. So we can come along and we can replace the crap they have for search and with this, and then we'll be good, and we'll make lots of money doing that. So, and everybody will be happy, and it will be a better world. Okay, so what we've got, where is it? Open folder. I thought it was open. Mitta screenshot. So we've renamed it. We've renamed the screenshot thing to screenshot. That's what I've called it. And so it is actually over on, it's under my account because I'm the one writing all this shit. So it's Mitta.screenshot. And I say I'm writing all this stuff. I didn't write this. There's somebody else wrote this. And if you want to know who wrote it, you can go in here and look at this. And it was this David or Emily Casali. I'm assuming David and Emily are the same person, so same entity. So good job. You did a great job on this. It's a really great piece of software. And we're going to follow your guidelines for the copyright. So this is going to go up here. What we're going to do is we're going to have this option thing in there as soon as we figure out how to do that. Haven't figured that out yet, but that'll go in there. And I've left the all the licenses intact, but I didn't actually fork this over just because we're going to change it so much. And then this is the first version of our screenshot plugin for Chrome. We're going to need one for Firefox as well, and then we're just not going to have one for Safari because we're just not. And so yeah, you're going to click on this button, and then it's going to post it, and this is going to fail. So that make is going to stay up there because it's going to localhost right now. And so in the meantime, we're going to talk about this while that other stuff is pushing. So we managed to get, the summary here is we managed to get jQuery running, and the way we did that is I replaced it with jQuery 3.6. In the manifest, it goes here. I figured out it doesn't need to go in content scripts at all. You don't need to put it in there, you just put it in here. Now, the problem with that is that when we bump the manifest version to 3, as is going to be required here shortly, I don't know when Google is going to require upgrading the manifests of the extensions, and when they start removing the Manifest 2 apps from the store, but I'm hoping right now that we'll be able to still submit a Manifest 2 app to the store. But it makes sense why they're changing it, and they're changing the scope of stuff, what it has access to and stuff like that for security, because they still have people trying to hack people, so those people are assholes, so Google's trying to stop the assholes, so we support that, even though it's kind of inconvenient. But so for now, we're rolling with more or less what was there, but we've renamed a bunch of stuff. Now, I tried to leave Emily's name in here, and we could put both, but this is the manifest for who's currently in charge of this code base, and from what I understand. And so if I'm going to send this over with my changes in it and create a new plugin, then I have to rename all of this stuff. So I did all that. So it all got renamed. It's open source, so I can do that. So it doesn't matter. I'm leaving the license intact. And I created a license file and put, I updated the copyright to have my changes in there as well, and credit to Emily in there as well. So what I ended up doing was, here's the upshot of all this, is pretty much all of this code right here got added, with the exception of wherever the check mark is. Where's the check mark? Right here. This line was in there previously, but all this other code I stuck in there. Now, the problem with this is, there's two problems right now, is it's going to localhost, and that's fine because I'm doing dev on it. The second problem is that this is only uploading to here. That's all it's doing. So if you recall, if you've been watching previous episodes, just uploading an image to the spool doesn't actually index it. It has to be indexed after you do the upload. Well, actually, you can index it. You can index a spool document, a document that is of a type spool after you upload to the spool. You can just take the result of the spool and shove it over to the indexer endpoints. But if the image has not been created yet, it won't, and you haven't told it to tag it, then it won't pull out all the text on the page. It'll just grab the title. It'll actually just grab the title. Especially with this, it just grabs the title. So some of what had to happen here is that this stuff had to be updated, and I updated a lot of that in the last video. And I said I would pop back in and I would say what I did to fix the problem that I was having in the last stream. And now we're, how far along are we in here? 17 minutes in here. I've made you wait this long. And so this is what I ended up doing to fix it, which was, what did I do? I created, oh yes, I added this code at the top called data URI to blob. And I think all this does is it basically does, if you recall, we had to do an alert on that image object. And when we did that, it had some stuff that prepended the encoded image. The image gets encoded by this application. It gets it by this JavaScript. It gets encoded into a string, the image data, and the image data is stitched together by scrolling the screen. And so, so you scroll, take a picture, scroll, take a picture, scroll, take a picture, then stitch all of them together. And I say that's what Emily did, and so thank you. And so, but then we get down to here and we have access to it in the form of this image data URL. That's the encoded object, but it's got this stuff prepended to it, this blob stuff, which I don't understand the blob stuff. I think the blob stuff is like some way for the browser to store data for you with a blob, and then you can give it whatever page you're on, you can give it this hash. I have no idea if that's going to continue to work or not in the next version of, in Manifest 3 versions. So what I'm planning on doing is I'm going to backburner version 3. I was thinking about writing it, but I don't really want to do it. I'm going to backburner it. I'm going to put it on the list of stuff to do. And then when we get some money, the company gets money, then we'll hire somebody to do that. And then they'll do some other stuff too. And so, so what we ended up doing is borrowing this, I forget where I found this data URL to blob. This was on Stack Overflow somewhere. Somebody coughed up some code. You'd probably search for this stuff. Data URI to blob. Let's do it. Stack Overflow. And here it is. So it's this Adria. Thanks. So that solution came in from Adria, and so the call to it gets done right here, and we actually just literally pass in that image data URL blob. And I guess it's a thing that Emily figured out that's a format, so it's not something that she made up, which was what I was originally thinking that she had done, but then I guess that's not the case. So she was just following some standard. So we had to convert, we had to get the blob, then we had to create a new form, and then we had to pass the blob in. And then once we got the blob passed in, we called it data. And if you recall, we have in upload here, so we've already called create, and we get the spool. So we get the upload target first. So we do that here. This is where we do a health check to make sure we're logged in. Then we do a post to create the spool. Then we do a post of the data to the spool. All with callbacks handling through jQuery, which we're going to lose access to because in Manifest 3 apps, you're not going to be able to use jQuery because it modifies the DOM or something. Hell, I don't know. Anyway, one of the solutions was that you can use fetch, which uses promises, and I don't know what promises are. I guess we could look. I could just be totally distracted in this video. I can just go with my tendencies to be Mr. Distracted. Fetch versus callbacks. And I think for sure that callbacks are callback is a thing in. I was watching the video last night, and I think callback is a reserved word in JavaScript. How to return from a promise callback with fetch. Okay, I'm not getting into that. It's just going to melt my brain at this hour. Using fetch. So they're going to use fetch when we rewrite this thing. That's what's going to happen. And I say we, somebody else, not me. Probably. Maybe. Maybe it will be me. Okay, so what we needed to do here was a whole bunch of different things. So one of the things that we updated, which is relevant to the docs today, is that we uploaded the target to the nickname of, or the nick or the name of the spool. So I support both. So you can pass in the spool by nick, or you can pass it in by name. So nick or name. That's why it's called nickname. And so then it'll look for both, and if it doesn't find it, it'll tell you it didn't find it. And then I got rid of the upload URL being saved into the database, which is why I was kind of concerned with, I don't know what's going on in prod, but so the upload URL, this should, I renamed the website URL in the config, so I hope that works, should work. And then the upload URL just gets built and stuffed into the spool.json file, which is here. And I did not end up changing that. So the upload URL still pops out just like it did before. It's just not being stored in the database now. Just doesn't make any sense. You can build it on the fly. But it's kind of nice, convenient feature to pop it in there for people. And I made it to where you can upload either to dev or to prod, depending on what you're connected to as you're doing dev. And so here's where we upload the images to the spool, and you can see that data right there. So I didn't have to change anything here, I don't think. What did I change? I added this. So basically I said if there isn't a file name, or the file name, let's see here, if screenshot in file name, and that comes in from right here. So if screenshot is in file name, it's coming from the screenshotter. And if it says screenshot in the file name, then rename the file to some random string.png. That's to keep all these from being duplicated. And then that way I don't have to write a randomizer function for this thing, and whenever somebody uploads something with screenshot, it'll just automatically rename it. So it's a convenience function. Maybe I'll say that in the docs, maybe I won't, I don't know. And then all of this upload stuff is all still the same. So the upshot is what I was getting stuck on was I wasn't able to upload, and because it said that it wasn't an object that could be uploaded. And by running this data URI to blob, this thing right here, we were able to get it to go in there. And see, I don't have to understand any of this. I mean, it just works. That's sort of the magic of programming today, is that you can sort of, if you're good at that, if you're good at just sort of collecting pieces, and then I can sort of debug this if I need to. I understand some of it. Like this stuff right here, for example, A to B, I don't know what that means. What is A to B? Well, we'll just go look. So it's a decode method. A to B method decodes a base 64 encoded string. Okay, so we're decoding a base 64 string and we're splitting on a comma, which was in the object, and then we're taking the second element of that object for byte string. And that's if this first one didn't fail. And I actually think this is the one that runs. Oh, sorry, that's on escape. So here we're running this. So we're running it if we're able to split on something that then says base 64. I'm sorry, if we're able to split on the comma, the first element of that, so you're going to get two objects back. If there's a comma, you're going to get the stuff before the comma and including the comma, and then the stuff after the comma. Then if there's base 64 in that string, the position is greater than 0, which means it was in it, then you do this. So then you convert it. And the byte string. And then down here, I don't know what we're doing here. Data URI, we're splitting on something else. Separate out the MIME component. So it's grabbing the MIME component. And then it's rewriting all of it. So it's looping through the byte string, and it's adding it to the byte string, and then it's, I don't know, where are we adding the MIME string back? Right here. So we're just building up some new object, and then we're returning the blob. Okay, so we kind of understand it now. So that's what's happening here. Right, where is it? Right here. That's what's happening. So we get back the actual form data that we would get if we clicked on an image in the selector in a form. So if you put in like a upload button in a form and you click on that, and then that object that is being handled by the browser, that's exactly what we end up with here. And then what we're doing is we're just posting that, and we're prepending it with data. That's where we prepend it. That's where we say that's the data we're uploading. I'm sorry, here. This data here. And then we're passing it in as data to the AJAX call, which it knows that's binary data. And then it uploads it. And then when it pops out, and we read it with this request files. So basically this thing is like an request files, and we send it the file descriptor, or the FD, which may be a little disingenuous because it's actually the data, or file data, I guess is what it would stand for, not file descriptor. So file data, and then when we do a request files, and then we're looking for this data here. So this data and this data are the same, and this data has nothing to do with these two datas. That data is associated with the request files. So if we wanted to, we could put images here, or we could put files there, one or the other. But I chose to put data because I feel like it's a one-shotter. It's click, click, and go. Okay, so then what happens is we post, and then we end up updating the status to checkmark, which is why it still says make here, because it errored out. And then otherwise we get a fail, and it says an error occurred and the files were not sent. And the reason it's not doing that currently is because this call is failing. And I'm not handling it, see? I'm not handling a failure of that call. It's like, you must not be connected to the internet, or that service is down, or something like that. So I need to probably add that in there, but I don't want to, because we're going to work on docs today. So all of this code is going to get committed to my repo, to this meta screenshot repo, and then I'm going to rewrite this README, and I'm going to park this README in an old README, and then I'm going to update all this, and I'm going to make a video on how to install it. And then at some point before launch, I will submit it to the store, and I might do that sooner than later in case there's some sort of rule that they put in force that says you have to do it before a certain time or they won't take them. I don't know. I couldn't find anything like that on it, so I don't know. I think I'm okay. All right, so that's it. So I'm closing this. That's the entirety of the screenshot. So that's $1,000. You know, about 15 minutes of explanation here. About it's about an hour after the stream yesterday, and then about an hour and some change. About call it 2 hours yesterday, getting it working and on stream, and then the other stream was an hour and a half. So that's I'll figure out what my take is per hour. So it was an hour and a half, 1.5 hours on the first stream, and then it was, let's call it 2 hours, let's call it 2.5 hours yesterday, and then there was about another hour and a half that I spent on it the day before, so that's 5.5 hours. And then I got paid $1,000, so that's $181 an hour. I'll take that. I can make more than that, but I'll take it. It's good. It's good income. So I saved myself $1,000. $1,000 plugin. Okay, so if you're interested in those types of plugins, I say plugin, extension. If you're interested in writing extensions, well then maybe this was helpful, maybe it was harmful, who knows. But anyway, that's the upshot of all of it, and now I'm done talking about it, and I'm going to close the screen, and we're going to go on to the documentation. So we're going to start at the top, and how much time we got here? We got an hour. So we're going to do an hour of API cleanup, which will create a bunch of tasks for us, no doubt. And so we're going to start by closing a bunch of this crap. And we're going to go over and we're going to check on, we're going to go over and check on the push is good. So we're going to run this and we're going to start local dev, and then let's go over and see if prod works. God, I hope so. Okay. Let's see here. Which sidekick are we using? Loose grasshopper. Okay. So let's search and see if we get back any broken images. Well, one of those. Okay, lots of broken images, which is to be expected. So let's go in here and let's do a little purge real quick to get rid of everything, including unfortunately loose grasshopper. Well, maybe we won't get rid of loose grasshopper, but what is going on here? Okay, so we have settings. Looks like other users have stuff too, so, well, goodbye. We're going to delete them all. And then we're going to go over to Spool. Goodbye, loose grasshopper. We're going to delete all of those. And then we're going to go over to, that was it. Oh, sidekicks. Cunning Adder, Amethyst. Yep. We have some other users creating sidekicks. Proficient. Yep. Those will all be recreated, so they'll lose their sidekicks. Too bad. At least we have a couple of people using it. And then we're going to go over to storage. And we're going to blow away everything that's in storage. And the reason why we're doing this is because we kind of changed around how things are looking. So I don't want any confusion about any of that. Okay, while this is spinning, we're going to stand up. And then we're going to check that, and we're going to click delete. It'd be funny if I worked like this. I saw this article. I don't think I ever finished my Hacker News rant. I saw this article where they were saying, do you need pants anymore? And I'm like, I can tell you definitively you don't need pants to stream. Okay. Now let's hit clear. Let's actually restart this. And then let's look at help. No loading. That's pretty funny. Screeching turkey. All right, I'll be right back. Okie doke. Well, it could be lighter out today. I could kill that light in the closet, but whatever. Deal with it. So, we have Screeching Turkey. I noticed the no loady thing. That's probably something that happens when you wipe out stuff like that. I don't know. It probably ought to be investigated, but it doesn't matter. Nobody's using it right now much. So, okay, so let's try to index something. Kind of like, hoping this works. I don't think there's anything wrong with the grub box. This is all lies. It's lying. There's no ink. Oh yeah, baby! And that's in prod. So we're working. Now we're going to search for it. And then the image doesn't come back. And the reason why the image doesn't come back is because it's not being indexed. So now let's take a gander at the uploader working. We have to start up dev, which we do have running. And we're just taking a picture of this page. We'll be a little meta about it. It should go green, but it didn't. Oh, it did. Okay, so it uploaded it. So now we're going to go look at it. We can't do anything else but look at it because it's not going into the index. I can't search for it. So there's my user, and we've got two spools. I'm just making a guess at which one's here, which one this is, and there it is. That's that image. So that came in. That came in from the screenshotter. So you can see the screenshotter's working. So that's just me illustrating it. And look at the bottom, and there's some weird thing going on down there. And whatever, it works. It's totally meta. Metadata. Edit metadata. There we go. Okay. So, what do we do now? Well, we have to clean up documentation. That's just something that we have to do. Okay, so the first thing it says here is, it says, this is Mitta's API documentation. If you need help with anything, visit us in our Gitter channel. There's nothing there. Why does it suggest all these people? I like this guy. I don't know who that is. There's Nathan. Add Oliver. I don't know. Who's John Walker? We'll add him. I don't know. Kelsey Hightower? No. David Johnson? I don't know who that is. Woo! Alright, that's it. I don't want to invite any more people, so quit asking me to do that, Gitter. Okay. So, well, that's it. So then we need to add this. Copy. There we go. And then we're going to paste it in here. Alright, and then we're going to do localhost, API, and does this work? No, that works. Good. Okay. Localhost, API. Great. Okay. What are we moving on to now? We're going to move on to settings. Let's see what this rest of this says. Mitta provides API methods for calling, indexing, and tagging information you find online. Is that what we do? Intelligence to organize and filter text and images over time. Isn't that what we are? Isn't that all we do? We filter text. We talk. That's sort of text. Language and images. I don't know. Mitta provides API methods for imaging, indexing, and tagging imaging, indexing, and tagging language and storing, indexing, and tagging language, text, and images. Mitta provides API methods for storing, indexing, and tagging text and images using machine learning. How about that? Mitta provides methods for storing, indexing, and tagging text and images using machine learning. Text and image methods for storing, indexing, and tagging information found online. Text and image based methods for storing, indexing, and tagging information found online for information. Mitta provides text and image based methods for storing, indexing, and tagging information. Mitta provides machine learning powered text and image methods It's a little bit of advertising that we're doing here. It's a little bit of ad speak. Mitta, let's make it even shorter. Machine learning. We provide methods for storing, indexing, and tagging information using machine learning. This API provides methods for storing, indexing, and tagging information using machine learning. List of methods. The following methods are provided with Mitta's APIs. Redundant. Put it up here. Config app name API. What? Oh. Mitta.us API reference. That's good enough. This API. Okay, let's reload this and see. This is the API documentation. If you need any help with anything, please visit us on your Gitter channel. This API provides methods for. I mean, I guess it's kind of obvious. It's the docs. So let's take that out. This is what writing documentation is about, is making things simple. If you need any help, if you need help with anything, please visit. So basically you want to make an offer at the very beginning, say, if you need help, let us know. This API provides methods for storing, indexing, and tagging information using machine learning. All right, but let's say what we do first, and then we'll offer some help. It'll look better. See, it looks better already. This API provides methods for storing, indexing, and tagging information using machine learning. Now that way we've got our bases covered. We're saying right out of the gate we're doing machine learning stuff, right? Just not saying what type of machine learning we're doing. We're actually doing search is machine learning. Search has always been machine learning. It's been machine learning from day one. That's why Google already does it. So machine learning is considered to be like neural network stuff, but machines learning things. If a machine crawls something and it learns the title, then it knows the title, then that's no different than like GPT-3 making up bullshit out of its network, right? Having trained on a bunch of other bullshit that humans wrote. So, I mean, Google has been machine learning from day one. So there's just different types of machine learning. It's like we have this threshold where you're like, well, we'll call it search. If it's this simple, we'll call it search. But if you have something like a semantic knowledge graph, semantic being, text, then bringing to mind text, semantic imaging can be image-based as well. So you can have semantic things that are image-based. So that's a type of intelligence or a type of learning. So if you have something that can learn something from stuff that it indexes or ingests, in other words, you have something that a human creates, like an image or some text, and you ingest it into something like a search engine, then that's machine learning. It always has been machine learning. It never was not machine learning. We're just getting fancier with our stuff as we go along. The databases are getting fancier. But what we're doing here with Mitta is we're combining those two concepts. We're taking machine learning libraries like what's provided through the tagging function that we did a few days ago, which we're still not done with. We're almost done with it. It's working-ish. It'll be the last thing. We'll do a pass on this API docs and we'll finish up that. And then we'll be ready to demo, and then we'll move to working on the UI is what we'll do. And by episode 50, we'll be done with the UI and we'll launch. And then between episode 50 and 100, we'll flesh everything out and start charging people. All right. So let's see here. Let's go to list of methods. The following methods are provided. That's kind of obvious, isn't it? So let's save that. Settings, crawl, upload, and those are all still accurate. So let's go to settings and let's read this. Personal settings may be viewed and used from the shell. Okay. This still does nothing, but that's the idea, at least at some point. So I guess if you type in something that isn't a setting, it doesn't do anything. I guess that's true. We gotta go up here and say if okay. You see how this works, people? People who write documentation do everything. That's what they do, and they're all underpaid, every single one of them. And it's been my experience, I don't know, this is probably a machoist. Is it machoist? Is that what it is? Masochist. A person, oh no, that's not it. What is it? It's like, it's a, well, I don't know what the hell the word is. I'm not going to remember it now. I'll have to wait. It's probably sexist, but I'll say this: there's a lot of women, a lot of females, hers write documentation. That's been my experience. Every time I go somewhere, it's the team. It's not exclusively limited to women. A lot of women do it. I think it's because they have a lot of patience, and so. And they have to understand a lot of things. So they have to understand the technical parts of things when writing API documentation, and they have to, I mean, anybody who writes API documentation needs to do these things. But it's always been my experience, I see the good ones being women. So, it's like you have to be multidisciplinary to write documentation well. And so maybe that's an observation. So hopefully it's not sexist, but certainly not masochist. Whatever. I have problems with words. That's why I use search engines. Okay, I'm just going to shut up now before I stick my foot in my mouth. Okay, so settings. I assume all this is okay, actually. This is probably not okay. Test the search methods by passing in queue, rows, and tokens and parameters. Will this search actually work if we try it? So let's do this. Shift insert, and then I need to put in my token. Stop it. Okay, we're gonna go here. I guess a question would be why even mention it? And the reason you mention it is because if it goes unsaid, then dogmatically we continue to treat people the way we do in society. And the thing is that white males have dominated the conversation for a long time, and like, we need to do better. Although half this country that I'm in, like, it's just pointless to even talk to them about it, maybe. There's a bigger problem going on, which is that the Roomba is running now. We'll wait till it comes in here, and then we'll shut it down. Okay, so we need our token. We are going to get back to Hacker News, I promise. Shift insert. What does it say here? It says something like not good. What did it do? Redirecting. Oh, you know what? I need to wrap my curl. This is the person that's making the call's problem, not my problem. And it says redirecting. Why is it redirecting? It says /s question mark q equals rows token blah 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 blah. What do the docs say? Query right here. Query source type plain text rows token. You should be redirected automatically to target C. Oh, it's trying to save that. Why? Why is it trying to save that? That's what it's saying there. It's trying to save it. That doesn't make any sense. What if I try here? S question mark query equals foo. Why are you doing that? You're not supposed to be doing that. That's a travesty. How is anything working? I mean, that works. I changed this site handler thing. So at this point, somebody would open a ticket probably if they were doing docs. They'd go, well, this shit's not working, which is not. Can you hear me down there? I'm going to raise this up. It's probably a little loud. Sorry, I saw it go red. There it went red again. It's kind of loud probably. I'm sticking it HTTP on the front of it. I don't understand why that's handling that. I mean, these search functions. Oh, you have to search for the. Oh, that's right. You can no longer just do S. You have to search your sidekick. So we need some way of saying our default sidekick. So we're going to pop in here and we're going to grab a nick, and then we're going to look it up by nick. So what we need to do for search, okay, let me describe the problem. So we have a situation where here we're giving, well, let's go back to the top, because we're giving an example here, which is S equals whatever. But then the problem is that we can't do that anymore because it would I mean, we could. We could actually come in here and we could say this. Oh, you know what? We can do this right here. Then solve the problem. But then I'm going to say if get sidekick by Nick. So I need to say if not sidekick, then I need to get the default sidekick. I have no idea how to do that though. Okay. So, did I write a function for that? I don't remember. It should be one. There's nothing. I kinda hate to interrupt it. I'm gonna close the door. Now if it comes in here, that's too much. I'll just close it, it'll be fine. It'll probably go in the bathroom and get stuck, like it always does. Okay, so... And by the way, Roomba, iRobot, if anybody from iRobot's listening, the charger is designed horribly. We all know this. Everybody's having problems with their Roomba charging. We all have to baby it. The charger just sucks. I mean, why isn't it just a big disk that it can drive onto? So when it drives on the disk, then it's on the disk, and if the disk moves around, well, it can't move around if it's on the disk, right? So like the solution is to make a big disk. Anyway, so sidekick. Here we need to get default, but then the problem is if we look in shell here, we say list all the users' indexes, get the current default sidekick for the shell. And then put it somewhere, loads. I guess I can do this. So let me go back to search. So if there is no sidekick specified by the user, or it doesn't come back from the search that the user sends in, then we're going to get the sidekick setting. And then if there's no sidekick setting, let me look at this now. Yeah, see, the sidekick is equal to screeching turkey. These settings, they need some work, so just ignore how it looks. That'll be fixed. It was best effort. Okay, so we're going to get it by UID Nick, and then we're going to do that again once we get the sidekick setting, like this. Now the question is, what's coming back from this get UID by name, get settings and models and settings? Settings are just the things that the user can set arbitrarily. They can do 10 of them. They could actually set more, but it only gives them 10 back. 11 if they count their email address, which they can't change. Well, you can change it, but you have to sign up for a new account. So get by user ID, and then it returns the object. Yeah. Oh, it's by name. So settings have names. They don't have nicks. So get by UID name. So we're gonna try to get it by what they send us. And if they use just /s, which they could, then we have to get the default one. And then the default one is going to be whatever they have in their settings. But if they don't have one in their settings, here, if not sidekick setting, then we've got to what? Just use the first one? Oh Lord. This is why it needs to be, I think it needs to be in the models. I don't know. Because what happens here is in shell, I don't want to really test all that in search. It seems kind of pointless. So here I'm saying if list all the users' indexes, sidekicks. So I say get all of them, and then I say if the length is 0, then you need to create a new one. And that will always be a thing. Great news. This is not great news that I have all this code in here for this. I mean, here I'm assuming that there is a sidekick, and if there's not, then I could just bomb out and say there is no sidekick. So I could try to read it from their sidekick settings. If not sidekick setting, then bomb out. We need to bomb out how? Like upload does? Probably. I'd like a little simpler bomb. What else is simple? Settings? No, we're actually formatting that error as well. What about tag? I need something less baked. Upload? I've gotten fancy on everything. Well, crap. How about I just return no or something like that for now? If not, so in other words, okay, so if we get to the point where it's not being passed in and we try to load it, then, and there is no setting for it, which means they haven't gone to the shell ever, which they would do if they logged in, which is probably less than ideal that you're doing it in there. We're doing it in there, but nevertheless we are. If there is no sidekick setting, then we're going to say some error. Something like that. What I need to do is I need the grep -r 404, and then I need to it's like, what is it? Yes, that's the one. Okay, well, what is this thing? It's bothering me. Oh, here we go. Well, it was in sight. I started to go look in there, but I didn't. Okay, that's what we want right there. Is that abort? So we'll just do a return of 404 and say sidekick not found. Something like that. Okay, so if we don't find the sidekick setting, what are you doing, Sublime? Okay, this thing is banging around. was totally stuck in the bathroom. I knew it. I called it. I manifested it. Okay, so all right. So if we don't have a sidekick setting, then what we need to do is we need to go look it up by, we need to abort, and if else, we need to look it up by, we're not going to do this, this is not a thing, so we need to look it up by the sidekick setting name. Okay, so let's run this again. Okay, well, it's still doing the same thing. Oh, we're running it to Mitta. So we need to do this localhost thing. We need to not do SSL. Okay, now we're talking. Settings is not defined. So we put in settings in here. So settings, that's how we figure out which sidekick it is. None-type attribute. None-type object has no, what are we looking it up by? Sidekick. What does that say? None-type object has no attribute name, 131. Models, setting, name. That's not true. It's clearly got a name. Have I lost my mind? Do we need to do it like this? I don't ever remember. I think it's a dictionary. So sidekick setting equals settings, get user ID. Let's print this. Blah, blah. Here's this. What is it? Yeah, it's not a thing. NDB calls must be yes. With client context. Client is not defined. Boy, we've gotten off to a rough start, I'm telling you. Documentation. What's going on here? I'm gonna restart it. Beginning is not defined. Do tell. It's because it's a new file. This stuff right here. Now what? I don't even know what that error is with client context. Is that not how you run it? I thought that's how you... With client context. Function. Okay. Settings object is not subscriptable. None type object. Okay, we have the object here, and here's the name, sidekick. Oh, actually we're after the value, so it doesn't matter anyway. Settings, key equals, key settings. Name, sidekick. So let's try this value. Let's print that and see what happens. Should print the value. I saw it for a second. There it is, screeching turkey. I don't know what this bullshit is that we have no, I mean, we're printing it here. Oh, it's got to be within context. Can we do something like this? We say value equals sidekick name equals this. Yes. And then we say if not sidekick setting, abort, which means there was no setting. And then the sidekick is equal to the sidekick get by user ID Nick. Nick equals the sidekick name. Except it's Nick. Where's it saying that? Line 138. In search? 138. What's here? Sidekick name. Oh. No, that's right. So we have sidekick here? We must. Oh, well, before, what we were doing, I don't remember what we were doing before. Why was that? So like right here, we need to do a with client context. I don't know why that was working before. Name equals sidekick setting. Sorry. Sidekick name. I mean, sidekicks still have names. Let's try this again. See if it fails at the other place. Line 54. Line 54 sidekick name. Right there, it's failing. Interesting. Looking at the models, we clearly have a name. Suspecting problems with the model, maybe? There's the name, as expected. I have no earthly idea why it's doing this. I mean, what we're going to do right here is we're going to print sidekick. Seems like somewhat familiar, like this problem seems familiar-ish. Like I've run into it before. So it says line 141 in search, so it's back down here, it's fussing about it. But then we should be able to see the sidekick here somewhere. Oh, it says none. What the fuck? So we're saying if not sidekick. Not sidekick, as expected. Sidekick setting. there's the setting, name sidekick. And we're actually looking for the value, which is this, value screeching turkey. And we're saying the nick equals the sidekick setting value. And then we're gonna print the nick here. So we should see the nick print out. And is that it right there? I want to make sure that it's not, I'm not printing something else somewhere. I'm just printing the sidekick setting and then I'm printing the nick. And then if not sidekick setting, which means if there was no setting, so in other words, if I do this, I should get back that error. What? Line 49. Yes, that's true. I am wrong. Here. No, here. Oops. Here. And then I was printing the nick here. And I should get my error. Abort is not defined. That's good news though. What? There we go. Abort is not defined. Not found. Is that the abort? Is that what the abort does? Sidekick not found. Let's see here. Print would abort. Would abort. Okay, whatever. It's returning some not found. I don't know why it's doing that. Might be better just to return JSON dumps. That's not going to have a error associated with it, but at least it'll return that. Okay. I think I could put a 404 on the end of this, or something like that. Let's see here. Does that still work? Yeah, that works. And then I'm going to do this just because I'm sick of seeing it. There we go. And it should be a 404, and it is here. Okay. Now we're going to put this back to where it belongs and save this, and then we really need a handler for all this shit that handles it as a decorator or something probably, but I don't know. For right now we're going to do it like this. I need to get the docs done, and this is not conducive to getting the docs done at all. The docs cleanup is going to be like a 2-episode thing. Dr. Docs. Okay, so with client context, print sidekick setting. So first off, are we printing the setting still? Yes, we are. And then we're printing the name, which is Screeching Turkey. And then we're looking it up by nick. And then we're gonna print the sidekick, and there's nothing. It says none. Is there no more Screeching Turkey? There's screeching turkey right there. It's right there. Git by UID Nick. And if we put, let's do this. You see, we're going to show you right here that it is there. There it is. That's the search. Why isn't it working here? So it's looking it up here, but it's not looking it up here. Is that because it has, I don't know. Like, what's wrong with it? Let's do this. Good old crusty rusty formatting. I'm sure when I watch this later, I'm just going to be like, you idiot, what are you doing? It's right there. It's right there. Click on it. Delete it. Change it. Line 143. Still, well, but if we look here, see it says none. Right there. That's where it says none. I'm getting better. The little windows are training me. So this morning, the other day, I needed a little container, and I have these glass containers, but I needed this little storage container, and I kept this little spun honey container that I bought. It was like this big, and I put sour cream in it, and then I used it later, and then I went to wash it, and I was like, should I keep this or should I throw it away? I mean, it's a little plastic container, old plastic container of spun honey, and so then I was like, I'll just wash it and then I'll throw it away. I'll put it in the recycle. So I did that. And then about, I don't know, like 5-10 minutes later, I was fixing my coffee for the stream, and I was like, where's the spun honey? And I haven't had spun honey in weeks. I have this bear of honey, and my brain was like, where's the spun honey? It's so weird. It's like, because I saw it, and it was within a certain amount of time for looking for honey, my brain just said, there should be spun honey. Like, there's no alcohol involved, there's no psychedelics or anything. There's nothing involved other than just my raw brain and lack of caffeine. So weird. Okay, so what is going on here? We're gonna get banned in North Korea again because of my music, but whatever. Print Nick, which is printing, but then we're not looking it up. That's the exact same damn request, the exact same one. And if I look in setting and I see it says screeching turkey right there. That's what it says. Oh, it's in quotes. It is in quotes. It should just be printing screeching turkey. Okay, well, we're saved. So we need to say something like, I don't know why it's doing that. We probably need to fix that, but I'm not doing it right now. Like, we need to strip. It's like a replace, isn't it? This. I guess we could just do something like this. I don't know why it's quoted. I can't remember. We need to do this, ironically, and then put quotes. That's pretty ironic. Okay, and then we're going to get rid of this because all of this is going to work. And all. Okay, that shit definitely needs to be fixed. Oh, please work, Jesus. Just I'm at the top of the file. Got 2 arguments. Strip expected at most 1 arguments, got 2. Yeah, it did get 2. Replace? What did I say here? I said strip. Strip a thing? That just came out of my brain. I don't know. Is that gonna work? Look at that. Wait a minute. Upload URL qualified impossible chimpanzee. Okay. Alright, with client con, let's get rid of this. That's pretty much it. That's the code. Okay, now we're in business. So, Jesus. How long for how long? 9 lines of code? Okay. So this should now work. This thing right here should now work. And then what does our result look like? This is our result. This thing right here. Copy. And then what we want to do is we want to make sure that this is JSON validator. This JSON lint thing. I'm going to paste this in here. Okay, that's valid JSON. We're going to copy that, and then we're going to go back into the API. And we're right at the top. And that's an actual response. So now let's go look at that. Great. So I did copy this, pretty much. And I don't know, maybe what we should do is change this to title news or something in here. So let's do that. Like that. We should probably say which index this is coming out of, but we're not doing that right now. Token is in there for some odd reason. That's not my token, is it? Well, it is. Why the hell is my token in there? Okay, I'm gonna take my token out. I think it's because it just passes it on. I have this fancy code down here that does all of this, and it says if request arguments get TQ, if TQ and key, okay, if token in key, continue. Yep. Okay, now my token's not in there. So it's great news. Great. So what happens is this thing for right now, search endpoint, is taking all parameters that are passed to it and passes on to Solr. So if we have, some issue with security in that regard, well, we're screwed. So we need to make sure that we're doing that, checking that stuff. And Solr's not known to be the most secure thing in the entire world. So probably ought to check it. But anyway, nevertheless, we have, what's this upload URL thing in here? So I can quotes, upload URL, qualified impossible chimpanzee. And it's got a comma in there. It's kind of weird. That's a tuple. Why is the upload URL a tuple? Jesus. Okay, why is it a tuple? Is it when it got created, it's a tuple? Why would it be a tuple? It's in the index that way. Why did it get indexed like a tuple? mean, that's right, but it shouldn't be a tuple. Hoot. Here. So do I can't, I'm not going to manually fix it because that's just not right. So it's whenever the spool got created that it's wrong. Probably. Here. Let's create spool. I mean, it's not saving it into the database anymore. So where's the spool? Here it is right here. There's the upload URL right there. I'm gonna look at spools. We don't have spools. Right here, spool upload URL. Here. So this is a response from the index, but then I'm going to go look at the actual spool. This. There is no upload URL because we're not saving it in there anymore. So, but when we indexed it here, we're just indexing the document. We're getting the documents here, JSON documents, for documents in JSON documents response, add documents. So right here, we would likely see, I wonder if it's, oh, you know what? I bet it's in Grub. Can't be in Grub. Because Grub just passes on the document. So here's where it's indexing it. That's the response from that object there. Well, let me create a spool and see what happens. So let's curl dash. You can see that writing documentation is also a fair amount of unit testing, or testing in general. So we're going to silence that, and we're going to do HTTP, and we're going to do localhost 8080/u. What are we wanting to do with this? We want to create a spool -x post -d data. We want to do HTTP meta.us/API v1. And we're going to call the spool endpoint, and we call it with the token. Except we have to say token. Alright, there it is, and the upload URL looks normal here. So I don't understand why, except it's borked. It needs a slash on the front of it. Is that why it's broken? I don't know. Problems. How are things even working? Maybe nothing uses that. Oh, we have to go into here, spool, to here. No, the upload. It's where it's in upload. Upload. Oh yeah, here. Oh, I changed that. I forgot I changed that. I changed the config website URL to not have a trailing slash because it was breaking something else. So I don't know. Consistency. So septical pecorari something or another. Oh, you know what? I didn't put URL in here. URL equals secret loudish poodle. I know a secret loudish poodle. Okay, so that worked, and it worked twice. Looks good to me. Question is, why did it do it before? So, and this thing is so weird. This is my mom, which she looks like my daughter, and kind of looks like me when we all look kind of the same, but this thing animated her. So funny. That's a really old picture of her, but myheritage.com using AI, machine learning, to dream things that aren't real. So I don't know. Let's delete these. When in doubt, and delete the sidekick too. Delete, confirm, and then we got to go in and storage. I don't know. We probably don't need to delete this stuff. Probably doesn't matter in here. We'll delete this anyway. Yep. Oh crap! I got to type that whole thing in. Copy, paste. Oh, slash dot star. That's right. Oh, slash. Alright, let's go back here and we're going to reload the page. And then if we type in foo, it's going to say happy elk. Ooh, it's a good sign. And then we're going to say grub https news.google.com slash, or no slash, no slash. Alright, and then I hope we get a picture back. Yes. Okay, and so then we're going to look at the spool. So we're going to copy this, and then we're going to go get status on the spool. Well, we could search. Actually, let's go look in the index. So we're going to look for, it's Happy Elk. So let's look at Happy Elk's ID. Data store entities. This is, oops, wrong one. Sidekick. So this is Sidekick PU something or another. Doesn't matter. PU something or another. Okay, 34. This thing, Solr. Really? Really, Solr? Well, I print out the Solr thing all the time. Where is it? It's constantly being printed out somewhere. Don't see it. Did I take the print out? I don't even remember what it was for. I can go look at here. You'd think I know what the password was by now. Everybody else probably does. No, wrong place. VM instances. Here. Dude, you're streaming your password. Yeah, I know. Have at it, people. Come in and delete things. I'll just start another index. So it was PU, this one. Query. There it is, and there's the fiddle-dee bits. So the question is, how did it get in there that way? That is the question. So I wonder, let's look at, well, I guess we need to look at the query. So let's switch the sidekick. I guess it doesn't matter. What do you think about this? Let's switch the sidekick. Jovial Caterpillar. Okay, so Jovial Caterpillar, we're going to want you to index this, but we're going to watch you do it. All right, go for it. Okay, so first we have the request for the line that we typed in, which then responds with the JavaScript. So let's take a look at this just real quick, make sure all this looks sane. I don't see anything in there that would be a problem. And then we're requesting, aha, right here on the, so we did a request to grub and it came back wrong. Oh, you know what? It's in the crawler. It's broken. Trashman. What's great is that's our trashman for the building, which it's like 10 a.m., which is fine. But there are all these other trashmen that show up at 5 a.m. Not our trashmen, which is good because it would be super loud, but it doesn't matter because all the other trashmen are super loud too. And as it turns out, it's a law that says you're not supposed to do that before 7 a.m. But like, you try calling the trash company and get them to tell them not to do that. That's not going to happen. Okay, so where is this happening? Here, upload URL. And then what am I using? I'm using Spool, so it's making it that way here? But I mean, the response we saw here, I think I closed it. The response was borked from grub. So the response here was borked. This upload URL was printing out something different. So I say here with client context, it equals this, grub website URL and the nick. I don't understand why that would be a tuple. It looks like it's formatted right. This is the spool nick. I'm just saying use the nick here in it. So spool nick, but I mean that should be okay. Not much longer. I have no idea. I guess what I'll do is I'll print it here. And it's using Spool here. You can see the Spool template, which is this thing. There's nothing nefarious going on here. It's just putting it in quotes. And then crawl is returning that. So, I mean, if it's getting fucked up, it's got to be fucked up right here. Like upload URL here has to be a tuple or something. I mean, that's not coming back from grub. There's a post to grub down here somewhere in crawl. We're saying we're creating the spool. Then we're printing the spool. Did it print the spool? It must have. I don't see it printing the spool. If not spool. In crawl. Okay, I'm gonna save that and then let's do another one. Click in here or something? What's going on with you? Running on production. That's That's a problem. Doesn't help me much. Can't see what's going on. I mean, I can sort of. I can stream the logs in. Okay, let's try this again. So we want to grub https://cpi_d1 or something like that. All right, there it is. So there's the spool. Oh, we can see it's fucked up right there. You know what? The spool is not supposed to have that in there. For sure. Oh, and here, well, I'm setting upload URL right here. But I did print the spool and it was that way here. I would imagine if I go over here and look at it, I think I'm probably having a problem with the data store, but I don't understand why. See, there's nothing there. And there's nothing there. I'm just going to scan across here and see if there's no upload URL. So then the question is here. Well, this is the response. Oh, you know what? I'm printing spool. And I'm printing upload URL here. There's upload URL right there. So it's coming back as a... Well, there's the U. Why is it a tuple? So I did print the spool, didn't I? It's hard to tell in here. So this is the response. I'm printing the response somewhere. So I'm trying to print upload URL, and it is printing it as a tuple. I don't understand that. And then down here, the question is, where is this? What is this doing? It's blocking. Oh, that's in search. That's because I'm doing a search. There should be a print statement in here. Yes? No? Find print. That's about it for that. I don't... Now I'm confused. Okay, so it's not printing anything there, but if I create this, it's not printing anything there, but if I do a new one, And the upload URL looks normal there when I'm doing the create. So it's only in here where it's doing it. So I'm gonna try to grab something else. I don't know, we need a story or something. It's time to go to Hacker News for a little comic break. Bill Gates says that Bitcoin is bad for the planet. Greed, unwillingness to accept externality, self-interest. Bitcoin's alive, people. It meets all definitions of life. Bill Gates is targeting Bitcoin for the excessive use of planetary energy for validation of his transactions. Bitcoin uses more electricity per transaction than any other method known to mankind, and it's not so great climate thing. Can you tell us how much it's using? Because the SHA-256 hash has gotten more efficient, Bill. I don't know. This is bullshit. What did Buddha say? The Buddha taught there are 3 kinds of dukkha, usually translated as suffering. The elephants are hacking. The second is the stress we feel is the result of impermanence and change, such as the pain of failing to get what we want and losing what we hold dear. The third kind of dukkha is that kind of existential suffering, the angst of being human, living conditioned life, existence of being subject to rebirth. It's kind of interesting that somebody says something about life right below. I mean, it is alive. I mean, Bitcoin is, I mean, it grows, it's consuming energy, it serves a function that causes it to be fit for existence. What'd you expect? The type of life. All right, so we're gonna index this. Bill's wrong. It can be made efficient. Just check out Lightning, Bill. Okay, so localhost 8080. And then we're gonna hit enter on this. We're gonna look at this. I don't know why I'm thinking that it's not gonna do something. It's like the definition of insanity is doing something over and over again, expecting different results. So there it is right there. And that's the upload URL. Which it's saying is in quotes, is indicating to me that this thing right here is a tuple. And it is a tuple, but I mean, it's got a fucking comma on the end of it. I knew it. I knew, why does it have a comma on the end of it? Well, because it looks like this. So somehow I got a comma in there. See how they have commas here? Well, it's because it's inside of a call. This is not inside of a call. It looks like it's inside of a call, but it's not. Well, there you go, people. How long did I spend on that one? All right. Look, Bill's face got covered up by an ad. You know what's bad for the planet? Are ads. Dynamic Pro Steeler ball joints. Some AI is going to later think that Bill Gates is a $759 Dynatrack Pro Steeler ball joint. I mean, this is just some trope that he's repeating. It says Bitcoin swallows planet energy due to the high cost of transactional energy consumption. You know, if I posted on Hacker News the truth, which was that whenever this was originally a topic of conversation at the Bitcoin meetup in San Francisco, which I was part of for a while, is that it was like 20 semi-tractor trailers basically at the time of energy, but then the thing was is that the SHA-256 hash was being improved on with new circuitry. So basically they were optimizing it in the hardware. And so there was kind of this like a race to upgrade your miners. So they were constantly upgrading the miners to make them more efficient, not to burn more energy, but I mean, they were burning more energy as it grew, but it's the hash rate. So the thing is, there is some thought to this thing is growing, it will continue to consume electricity, but there's a way to optimize on it. And this morning I was chatting with an old friend from that meetup times, and he was lamenting that he wished he were back in the Bitcoin space. And I said, well, you know, maybe we'll all eventually come back to that, in as much as, you know, how are we going to monetize these APIs? We could do it with Lightning, for example, and Lightning is very efficient. So you don't need to do a ton of transactions on the Bitcoin chain. You can use Lightning. Lightning doesn't use a lot of electricity. So the high cost transactions, they can take a little bit more power to ensure that they're secure. But this whole trope, I mean, like we ought to know what the power consumption is. We should be able to estimate it. And I could be completely wrong. He could be right. He is Bill Gates. He's rich. He must be right. Okay. So that should be fixed now. We're no longer crazy. So let's see here. I forget what we're gonna do this. I guess that works. But we need to do the search. So this is our search. And that's still broken because why? Why is it still broken? Because it got indexed wrong. So now what we need to do is we need to blow away our sidekick. Oh, happy. Oh, jovial caterpillar. Is that who I'm querying? I can't actually tell. I probably ought to return which index it returned from here. We don't have the index in here, which is unfortunate, but that's just the default. So, I mean, there's a way for somebody to figure it out, but so let's switch to happy elk. And then we're gonna re-index this page. And we're gonna go back here and we're gonna run this and it should work. It doesn't. Is it because it's, oh, that's the same URL. I don't know. How about we wipe everything out again? The problem is it's in the index. But see you later, happy elk. And then we want to go into the storage, even though it doesn't matter. I'm still going to do it. And we're going to wipe this out. Slash land. Alright, let's try this again. Strange prawn. Seems a little appropriate. I'll put a slash on the end of it. Okay. High five works. Here we go, free ultramarine monkey. Alright, we're set. Moving on. How much time we got? Wow, we're at 2 hours. We gotta end the stream here? Wow, well, we fixed some stuff and well, we got this part fixed, so let's do this. This is the important parts. It's the part at the top. So we're gonna paste this in here, right here. 2 hours of work, all for that. I talked a bit. So we're gonna paste this in here. Oh, actually, let's go format it. I don't know, what's that gonna look like if I paste this in here? Yeah, it looks like shit. Let's go do this. Here. We're gonna do 2 streams today, so I'll see you guys in a little bit, but make sure to see you all in a little bit. Make sure you like, subscribe, and follow, please. Make a comment if you like. Okay, that looks good. Did we actually do news? No, we didn't. So, we can just do this. Shh, don't tell anybody we faked it. That should be still the same. So let's look at it here like this. Title, news. Yeah. And let's just change this up here. Shouldn't be much different. Yeah, so the upload, that's, well, I mean, it is a spool. So the spool has a URL attached to it, and so therefore it has this URL, but you can still upload to it. So you could upload Google Newsy things to it if you wanted to. Okay, well, that's it. So I'll see you guys in a bit. I'll be back in a couple hours. And I'm trying to do, what is today? It's the 8th. I've got some stuff coming up later in the week that'll be kind of complicated maybe. And so I'll have a couple of days that I have to take off, but I'm going to double up on streams when I can so that I can make up for it so we can get to that 50. I feel like if I can get to 50, that's the release. We're releasing, I'm taking down the part about releasing. I mean, obviously, if we get done like this month, we'll get maybe like 12 more streams in or something like that. I don't know, maybe a few more. Maybe we get more than that. We can get 20 in. What are we on, 29? So if we get 20 in, that'd take us to 49. So we might be able to get done by the end of the month. We'll get done with a release that we can feel pretty good about. I don't know if that's release or I'm not sure, but it feels like maybe by April we could get something up, and then by May we could launch. We could probably, somewhere between 50 episodes and 100 episodes, we'll launch paid services. So by the time we get to 100, we'll be ready for funding. I think that's sort of my general sense. But then the problem is at 50 more episodes, that's almost 2 months of work. So, but then that takes us to May, and that's what I said on the page, that I go to May. I said sometime May 2021, but that could be May 1st or May 11th or something like that. So, we'll see. I think it's good to kind of be loose with, I mean, I have lower and upper bounds. So, anyway, I've prattled on long enough, and I appreciate you guys being here. So, take care and have a great day. Cordless out.